Welcome to What is Truth, brought to you by the Southern New Mexico Church of God in Las Cruces, New Mexico. What is Truth is a weekly program which seeks to focus our attention on the truth of God's Word. Now, with this week's lesson, here's Pastor Meyer Stahl.
Welcome to the program. Today we're looking at the gospel of the kingdom. What is the gospel of the kingdom? Many churches say, well, this is the gospel of the kingdom, or that is the gospel of the kingdom. They have different interpretations, different understandings of what the gospel of the kingdom really is. Today, my purpose is to explain the gospel of the kingdom. Now, before we get started, we have two very important booklets we would like to share with you today. There's no cost. They're absolutely free. We never ask the public for money. The first one is Easter is a Christian, and the second one is Believe It or Not, the Resurrection was not on Sunday. That's incredible, isn't it? The resurrection was not on Sunday. It's called Resurrection Sunday. It says, was Jesus 3 days and 3 nights in the grave, as he said in Matthew 12:40. Can you figure 3 days and 3 nights between sunset Good Friday and Easter, sunrise Easter Sunday? We have never published an article that has stirred more comment and enthusiastic endorsement than this article. The free booklets, just call the number on the screen. We'll be happy to send them to you. They're free of charge. We never ask the public for money. You can get a DVD of today's lesson also for free. You can share it with your neighbors, your family, your friends. And this is an interesting subject, the gospel of the kingdom. So many churches are preaching a different gospel. Now let's look at a warning that we find in the book of Galatians about the gospel of the kingdom. And we see here in Galatians chapter 1 in verse 6. It says, I marvel that you are so soon removed from him who called you into the grace of Christ unto another gospel, which is not another. But there be some who trouble you and would pervert the gospel of Christ. So the gospel of Christ is what we're looking at. It's the gospel of the kingdom. It's the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's the same gospel. But though we or an angel from heaven, even an angel from heaven, preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. So when I read that, I says, I want to be very careful that I preach the same gospel that Paul preached, that Jesus Christ preached. And as we said before, so say I now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that you have received, let him be accursed. This is a double cursing, a double cursing. So we want to be very, very careful that we are preaching the true gospel. Now we're going back to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24, and we're going to look at verse 14. Matthew 24, verse 14. And it says here, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. It's not to convert people. It's preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So this gospel must be preached to all the world. And we're having a small part in preaching the gospel of the kingdom into all the world as a witness. Camera, please. So, what is the gospel of the kingdom? It is so plain, it is so clear, it is so easy to understand. There's nothing complicated about the gospel of the kingdom. Gospel means good news. So whatever it is good news. Now, a kingdom, or any kingdom must have 4 parts. Would you agree with me that a kingdom must have a king? What is a kingdom without a king? So we must have a king. That's the first part that we must have. The second part is we must have subjects that the king rules over. Would you agree with me that we must have subjects? Okay. The third part of a kingdom is a kingdom must have a territory. King of France, king of Spain, king of England, king of something. So the third part of a kingdom is a territory. Now the fourth part of a kingdom, I give people a chance to respond when I explain them the gospel of the kingdom. It's not a trick question. The fourth part of a kingdom, I'll give you a hint. A kingdom is a form of government. And every form of government, whether it be a democracy or socialism or communism or any ism, must have what? Must have laws. The king rules by laws. So we're going to understand the gospel of the kingdom by looking into the Old Testament, into the book of Isaiah. Let's turn back to Isaiah chapter 9. Isaiah chapter 9. This is said around Christmas time, and let's read it. Isaiah chapter 9 in verse 6. Isaiah 9 verse 6. For unto us a child is born. Does that sound familiar? Most of you have it memorized. Unto us a son is given. And the government, what form of government? It's the kingdom form of government, shall be upon his shoulder. And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God. Did you see that? The Mighty God? In John chapter 1, it talks about Jesus Christ being the Word, and the Word was God, and the world was formed by the Word. So the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end. In other words, it's going to cover the entire world. So the entire world is going to be the territory. Upon the throne of David, he's going to sit upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. So he's going to be over all of the people in this world, and it's going to encompass the entire world. Let's read it back here in Isaiah chapter 2. Isaiah chapter 2, and we're going to verse 2. Isaiah 2, verse 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days, these are the last days that are coming up just ahead of us, that the mountain of the Lord's house, this is symbolism which is explained as we read on, that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come you, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. We're going to be taught by Jesus Christ, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion, this is Mount Zion, which is in Jerusalem, shall go forth the law. Now this word law is the word Torah. The Torah is the laws that we find in the first 5 books of Moses. Jesus says, Think not, I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So this law is the Torah, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is the headquarters of the world ruling government. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. So these are the implements of war. They're going to be turned into the implements of agriculture. So swords and guns and whatnot are going to be turned into plowshares, and spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. War is going to be outlawed. No more war. Wow, that is good news. Would you not agree with me that that is good news? People won't be dying anymore from being killed in battle. No more bombs, no more guns, no more bullets. Everything is going to be peaceful. There's going to be peace on this earth because the Prince of Peace is coming soon. Now, please don't go away. We will be back after these short messages. We'll be back, and we'll see you then.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Burke, and I have a confession to make. I have a serious crush on my workout. Hip, fun, and always a challenge. Jazzercise is the total package. It's the only workout that I've ever truly loved. Does it show? That's because I'm in the best shape of my life. What a difference Jazzercise makes. When's the last time your workout swept you off your feet? Find a class near you at jazzercise.com.
Attention homeowners, apartment complexes and business parks and homeowners associations. Now is the best time to make your property beautiful again. Since 1967, Gonzalez Landscaping has offered beautiful professional landscaping services to all of southern New Mexico. Our team has been designing and installing landscapes for over 47 years. Where quality is an obsession, Gonzalez Landscaping is locally owned and operated. We are licensed commercial, residential specialists dedicated to providing reliable and quality service. We offer residential and commercial landscaping design, full lawn, tree and shrub care, with annuals and perennials, tree and palm trimming, spring and fall cleanups, mulching and more. Let us do the work at prices you can afford. We service all of Las Cruces. We are New Mexico's premier commercial landscaping and residential landscaping company. Visit us online at gonzalesnursery.com or call us for a free estimate. 575-382-7272.
Hi, welcome back to the program. Just in case you tuned in late, we're talking about what is the gospel of the kingdom. Many churches are preaching gospel. They're talking about going up to heaven. They talk about different things, but they don't talk about the kingdom right here on earth. They don't talk about the millennium. They don't talk about the 1,000-year period. And we're looking here at Matthew chapter 24 first, and it says here, and verse 3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of your coming? Coming for what? Coming to rule over this world, and the end of the world. This word world is the Greek word aeon, which means age. What would be the end of the age? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. Watch out for deceptions. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. What's a rumor of a war? Well, back in King James' day, they didn't have radio and TV, newspapers. And someone coming into a city would tell about a war that was happening somewhere, and it was a rumor. The same word also means reports, and reporters report wars. So you hear every day reports of wars. Let's go back to the Bible. Okay, so you're hearing reports of wars, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. What's the difference? Nations are single groups of people, and kingdoms are several groups of people fighting against several groups of people. Like we had in World War I, and World War II, we had the Axis against the Allies. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Now this is talking about intensity, the intensity of these things happening. For instance, let's go back, let's talk about war. World War I, 8.2 million people died in World War I. World War II, 7 times worse. World War II was 52 million people dying. World War III, it's prophesied in the book of Revelation, there will be 1/3 of the people on this earth will die. There's over 6 billion people on this earth today. Over 2 billion, that's spelt with a B, billion people will die. Now, there are more famines. Today we have to feed over 6 billion people. There are more pestilences. There are more diseases. There's more doctors. There's more hospitals. There's more medicine. And there's more sick people than there has ever been. And earthquakes in diverse places. Now, if we take each decade from the year 1900 to today, each decade of 10 years, so from 1901 to 1910, from 1911 to 1920, from 1921 to 1930, each decade there was somewhere between 50 to 60 earthquakes of a 6 or better on the Richter scale, 6 or better, intensity of 6 or better. In the last decade, from 2001 to 2010, there were 245 earthquakes of an intensity of 6 or better. Wow, that's incredible. So each sign is growing in intensity. Let's go to the book of Revelation, Revelation chapter 20. Book of Revelation, Revelation 20, and let's look in verse 1. And I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Why is he bound for 1,000 years? Next verse tells us. And cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. God's not done with him yet. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them who were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. Where at? Up in heaven or on earth? Well, Revelation 5:10 says, and it has made us kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. Now, let me ask you a question. Why is it that churches are not talking about this millennium? They're not talking about the 1,000 years on the earth. They're talking about going up to heaven. Heaven seems to be the key. Now, we're not saying that people are not going to go up to heaven. Chapter 21, we'll read that. It says here, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth. Let's read it. Read it together with me. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven. So the New Jerusalem's coming down, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God, the dwelling place of God, is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. Now, in Revelation chapter 7, we're going there now. The reason of the fact that we're going to be here on earth for 1,000 years. There's a very good reason why. First of all, it says, chapter 7, verse 1, and after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor in any tree. And we're coming to the end of the program, and I did want to show you about a multitude in verse 9. Let's look at that. After this I beheld a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds, that's tribes and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. And John is asked, who are these? And he says, these are they who have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. They came out of the great tribulation. That's where they came from. So, I just want to make sure that everyone understands the gospel of the kingdom. It's the good news of the kingdom of God. It's going to last 1,000 years here on this earth. Churches are not teaching it. When you go to church this week, ask your pastor why he's not teaching the millennium, the 1,000-year period, the 1,000-year reign of Jesus Christ on this earth. Okay, the 2 important booklets. The Easter booklet, we just finished with the resurrection, and the second new booklet, believe it or not, the resurrection was not on Sunday. Send away for both booklets. We'd be happy to send them to you. They're free. You can have a DVD of this program for free. And we do meet on Saturday at 1 p.m. at the meeting room at 1701 East Missouri. Until next time, this is Meyer Stahl of the Southern New Mexico Church of God saying goodbye, my friends.
You have been listening to What is Truth with Pastor Meyer Stahl of the Southern New Mexico Church of God, located in Las Cruces, New Mexico. For copies of today's lesson or for more information, call area code 575-650-7359. That's 575-650-7359. Join us next week at this same time for another edition of What is Truth? Until next week, we wish you God's richest blessings.